Welcome to part 2 of this tutorial series. Now we're going to continue where we left off in part 1. If you've not watched part 1, I will leave a link in the description. Please go ahead and watch that one before you watch this. I will also leave a link in the description to download project file. Please purchase the file if you'd like to support me. However, I will go through all of it in here in this tutorial. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm going to disable this tube here right now because we don't need that any longer. I brought in this box node. I'm going to go inside. So this is basically a box, and I've got a couple of transforms, which over 48 frames it goes like that. It's just being animated. Okay, no big deal. I'm going to change this null to out and then come out, and I'm going to change the camera now. Okay, and I'm going to change the light to headlight only. Okay, so I'm going to go into source, and I'm going to create a box. And I'm going to move this up so that it stays on the ground plane. Okay, and I'm going to connect this onto the grain constraints, but before I do this, I want to reduce the resolution. I'm going to connect it now. So there you go, and I'm going to uncheck jitter scale, change the mass to 1. These will stay as they are, Vellum constraints, and all of this is going to be the same as part 1. I'm going to go into auto.network and disable the static object because we no longer need the tubes. Okay, so I'm going to play this now and let's see what we get. Okay, I can already tell nothing's happening right now because these boxes do not exist in the auto.network. Okay, so we need to do something to let the Vellum solver know that these exist. So let's go into source, and just after attraction weight before Vellum constraints, I'm going to add another Vellum constraint, and I'm going to call this attach to geo. I'm going to call our previous Vellum constraints distance constraints. Okay, and the attach to geo, I'm going to change the constraint type to attach to geometry, and we have to still define some stuff and it still won't work. Okay, what we need to do is we need to define a group here for which we need to create a group, which we don't have at this moment. Create group create. I'm going to call this stretch. Is that right? Stretch, yes. I'm going to change the group type to points, so everything will be selected. And I'm also going to create another group create, and we're going to bring in that box right now. Okay, and I'm going to connect this part to this here and go inside group 2, and I'm going to call this pinned or attach, whatever you want to call. Change the group type to points, uncheck base group, and keep in bounding regions. I'm going to select bounding objects points. That way we know those are selected. What we also need to do is attach this to the third input into attach to geometry, and make sure that these are also connected. Okay, if you don't connect this, it won't work. Okay, so that's looking good so far. But we need to create a group for this in between right here. And if we take this group and minus this group, you will get the one in between. So I'm going to create a group combine. And I'm going to say group stretch equals all but pinned. That way you're going to get that. Now if you go into attach to geo, I can change the group type in geometry section, 2 points, and I'm going to call this pinned. That way it's pinned. Now if I were to disconnect this, you'll see that disappear. So it's important you connect what's coming in. But also what I want to make sure is that this coming in geometry into this group is not animated, because over time this is going to disappear. We don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a time shift node and put it in here and delete the channel so that it stays at frame 1. Okay, so there you go. And also in attach to geo constraint, I want to check attach frame as 1 so that it knows that's the attached frame. I'm going to save this now, and we got ourselves the geo, and we got that. So what that means is now the pinned will be attached to the boxes. Okay. Right, let's play it. Okay, that just exploded, and I know why. Don't panic, it's okay. That is because if you look at this here, I did mention in the first part that I will explain this. It's time for that. So if I create a null here and connect it to here, to the constraint of attached to geo, open up the spreadsheet, and here you will see that the type is attached. And now if I connect that to here, that type becomes distance and attach. Some of them distance, some of them attach. If I connect it down here, all of them are stitch. So the Vellum solver doesn't know which one is stitch, which one is attach, and which one is distance any longer. Over time it gets confused and it explodes, and that's why that happened earlier. Now this is because if I drop in another Vellum constraint and I change the constraint type to glue, you'll see we have this breaking threshold. Now originally in the distance along edges we don't have a breaking threshold. That's why we had to add these here. Okay, so what we need is some way to define that this should only be affecting the group that has to be stretched, which we already have a group for, which is stretch. So all we need to do now is bring that group across from the geometry, because that group exists in here but not in the constraint. Okay, so I'm gonna push these down a little, pull these down a little, and connect geometry groups from to there and to here. Okay, the first one goes to the second one goes to the first. Now I'm gonna say go to point groups and select stretch, and remember this is a primitive group, or primitive type. So we need to promote this group from points to primitive. There you go. Now we're going to attach this to here, and we're going to say only do this for group stretch. Okay, now let's see how that goes. It's finished now. Let's have a look. So that's a lot more stable, and it's working, as you can see, but it's not as interesting. How can we make this interesting? Let's go back into source. We know that we have this attraction weight here. I'm going to call this, oh yeah, I've already called this attraction weight. So we know we have an attraction weight coming into geometry. So what we're going to do is we're going to do exactly the same as what we did for the group. We're going to transfer attraction weight into the constraints also. So let me do an attribute copy. This one is from, which goes into geo, and that one is to, which goes into here, and that goes into here. Now what I'm going to say is copy attraction weight. Alright, I'll save this. I'm going to also attribute promote this, because remember this is run over primitives. So I'm going to promote it to primitives, and I'm going to get attribute promote. So I got the attraction weight here. There you go. That's better. So I'm promoting the attraction weight to primitive level. Now it's there. What we're going to do is we're going to multiply the break threshold with attraction weight. And I'm also going to multiply that by a multiplier. I'm just going to call it mult. And we're going to click on this. And for now, I'm going to call this 100. I'm going to save this. For fun, I'm going to put in a color here. I'm going to say ramp from attribute, and I'm going to call attraction weight. Change it to primitive. There you go, that shows up, that's good. And I'm going to change this to infrared. You can change it to black body, grayscale, it doesn't matter. Infrared looks interesting, I guess. And if you now increase this or reduce this, you could tell which parts of this box has got attraction weight of 1 and an attraction weight of 0. Okay, so that looks good now. I'm going to run this now and I'll come back. Okay, so it's done now. Let's have a look. Wow, it looks a lot better, especially if I turn this way. There you go, that looks a lot better when you multiply it with the attraction weight. Okay, we're gonna make this even better. Okay, so let's go back into source, and we're going to go up to the class, and we're going to add another Voronoi noise here, and I'm going to increase the frequency of this one, and I'm going to bring in an add, connect the seed here and this seed here, and connect the output of the add to bind. That way, if I select that, and oops, if I go inside and disable that, you get that, enable that, you get this. It's slightly different. And I'm going to do the same with attraction weight. I'm going to copy a noise, but this time I'm going to use a max node and connect that one and connect this one and the output of the max node to fit. And I'm going to increase the frequency of the second one to 4. Now I'm going to disable the fit range. I'm going to check what the range of the attraction weight is. Sometimes you have to click on this one to make sure that the attraction weight comes up correctly. So it's 0.35 to negative 0.24. Okay, 0.35. Sorry, wait. It's negative 0.24 to 0.35. So it's negative 0.24 to 0.35. Okay, that's good. Alright, I'll save that. I'm going to go to Geo and let's see what happens now. Okay, it's done now. So let's have a look. Super. It looks much better. Much more interesting. Super. Right, so one thing is about the rendering. So I'm going to disable the attribute from map. I'm going to enable the color here. And I'm going to bring in attraction weight. Of course, you can use attribute from map and bring in your own JPEGs if you like, or UV maps, whatever. But I found that this was more interesting. Infrared. Currently it's showing everything as it's 0. And that's because if you go into point replicate under attributes, you need to bring in the attraction weight. As soon as you bring that, that changes, which is so much better. But I think the color I used here is 2-tone. Yeah, that's right. And I increased this to 2 maybe. Yeah, that's right. So this is what I did for my render. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to render this and I'm going to come back to you. Okay. Okay, it's done now. Let's have a look. It looks pretty cool. Okay, so obviously you have to increase the resolution here, and also you will have to play with the attraction weight and the class, and maybe even connect adjacent pieces and max search point, search radius. So basically these 3 elements here you want to play with, and also you want to play with the breaking threshold right there. Okay, so these are the things you want to play with, which will give you different results. But for this tutorial, this is the end result. The link I've given you in the description is to download the original file. Okay, so play with it. I hope you get good results, and if you can share with me, that'd be great. I really appreciate it. Let's see if you can come up with something different. If this video helped, if you liked it, please like, share, subscribe, comment, and please do not forget to click on the bell icon for notifications. Thank you very much for watching, and Have a great day. Bye.